All right, guys. Purpose here with you guys. Another tragic police murder happened yesterday down in Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you haven't watched it, it's on YouTube if you look it up. The person who was murdered by the cops was George Floyd. From what I read was he was sitting in his car, and of course, I don't know why cops always say this, but they were saying that he was resisting arrest. So I guess they got him out the car because we didn't see the encounter before it happened, but the video takes place where there's a cop, for 5 minutes kneeling. He has like his knee like right on the back of George Floyd's neck, for 5 minutes, and then you have people on the sidewalk who are recording, but also saying, this isn't right. First of all, and second, the man can't breathe because you got your knee and you're kneeling on the back of his neck, so he can't breathe. And then you see him, trying to get positioned, trying to be able to breathe, but he can't. So for 5 minutes he struggled, and then eventually, I believe he died right there. But another report says that he died, later that night once he was taken to the hospital. But the fact that he passes out and the cop still has his, knee on the back of his neck is just like, you know, what's what's going on? So, you know, I don't know what if there's going to be any body cam footage that happens, or any video footage of the encounter. But it's just things like this that it just irritates people, man. And one thing that was good was that the mayor, he came out and made a good statement talking about it shouldn't be a death sentence to be black in this country. It really shouldn't. So I don't know what we're gonna make out of this thing. I do know that there was I looked it up, and those four cops who were involved were actually fired. So that's just one step, but they definitely need to be prosecuted. That has to happen. Right away. I don't think this investigation is going to take that long because it's so easy. It's blatant and it's out front. I did see the police commissioner in Minneapolis say, during the investigation, we will look into the officers' actions and, look at their training accordingly. Here's my thing about this is that we don't need to look at their training accordingly. We don't need to go into a long investigation. We don't need you to say these bland things that commissioners always say, because we already know that you're going to be on your officer's side, because, it's just, cops cover each other's asses. I mean, I don't mean to curse. That kind of slipped out, but a lot of what happens is people say, not all cops are bad. But here's the thing that isn't talked about, and I think I've said this before. Yeah, maybe not all cops are participating in the actions of one cop doing something that is just completely disgusting, but you not stepping in, or kind of covering for him, and not calling out in protest over what he's doing, which is not right, that makes you complicit. I mean, I remember that one cop who was talking about the tyranny that cops are doing in this country, and he was put on administrative leave, and then he was fired because he spoke out against what cops are doing. So not only do cops not speak up, but it's also discouraged for cops to speak up. You don't hear a lot of governors. I think the governor or one of the state representatives of Minnesota talked about, the actions of this were completely irresponsible, something along those lines. But to me, there's just got to be more people in the higher ups who actually, help out and hold these, cops and police departments accountable, and with many different measures, because things like this, just keep continuing to happen. I remember it was years back, with that Eric Garner stuff, one of the people getting choked up by the cops saying, "I can't breathe." This is basically that same situation. And I remember it all happened kind of during either the election year or during re-election year back in 2013, I believe, around that time. So now this is another election year around this time, and then a lot of cop shootings, a lot of deaths of African Americans. So I don't know if this is like any correlation or anything like that. I don't know if people are going to do that, but that's just what kind of came to me as I was talking about this. So George Floyd was murdered. you know there's the video tells the story that it is. He wasn't resisting, and if he was resisting, if he looks like he's resisting, he's trying to be able to breathe. So that's why he keeps moving. And this cop just, even after he passed out, which I believe he died, Even after that, he still had his knee on the back of the man's neck and acting like this wasn't a big deal. This is what makes cops look bad. So, they were fired, but more is on the way. I already know that for sure. Things like this just aren't going to get swept under the rug. So, purpose here, delivering some, news about that. But we got sports news in the next video coming up. So, thank you guys for listening. Purpose here. Thank you guys. And, see you guys in my next video.